Hey, what's up? How's it going? My name is XD. Welcome to my channel. Now I'm going to jump straight into the meat of this video and I'm going to talk about 5 mistakes that I've noticed that a lot of beginner producers run into and how you can actually fix them. And I want to point these out so that I can help you overcome them, because these are mistakes that I've also went through and I see a lot of beginner producers are going through, and I also see some people that are also sharing information here on YouTube are also showing in their videos. But not to call out anyone, but I just want to point these things out because I feel like they'll help you. And I'll firstly say this: I've been making music for over 10 years, so I've made my fair share of mistakes and I've also tried to correct them. And music is very subjective. You can make it however you want, but there's just a few tips that will help you get an edge of your competition and make you make better music. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is over processing. You can easily start to overprocess your music when you get carried away in thinking that the effects are supposed to like really change a sound and completely change it. Now, for instance, if we come here to my master, most music producers, when they come here to the master, they expect to add like a lot of plugins, expecting all those plugins and all those effects to like totally fix a track that sounds terrible. You over process, you over compress, you add too much reverb, add too much EQ and things like that, even on vocals, even on sounds. You don't want to over process all your sounds or your master or anything. So try not to over compress. It might get really it might be an obsession where you have to drop your threshold all the way down to like a minus 60 dB and you crank your ratio up to like a 24.8 to 1 or something like that. But that's just too much, you know. You don't want to over process your tracks. You don't want to over process your music. You just want to slightly add effects. When it comes to reverb and all those kinds of things, you don't want to overdo it. The second thing I want to talk about is delay and reverb placements. So the thing that I see that happens a lot on masters, especially when it comes to vocals and tracks in terms of on the mixer, I see the placement of delays and reverbs are sometimes in the wrong place. So what I mean by that is you want to add delay and reverb as the last thing on your chain. So let's say I add an EQ here, like let me add an EQ, like I can add an EQ here, or maybe I can add let's see, something like a limiter or something. Then I can always make sure that my delay and my reverbs are always like right at the end, like if I throw on like a neoverb right there at the end. Because what's gonna happen is that if I add my reverb before everything else in my chain, this compression is going to affect my reverb. This EQ is going to affect my reverb, and that's not going to sound really nice. So you want to always add your reverb and your delays as the last thing. And I always tell people that tell music producers that you need to create synth effects. Like you need to create synths, and creating synths in FL Studio is very easy. You click on the channel and you can just dock it maybe to the left or to the right, but I like to dock my stuff to the right. I can just dock this to the right like this, and then I can throw in a reverb on here, like I can throw on maybe a convolver or whatever reverb that you like to use. And then you can just send whatever channel, like let's say for instance this log drum here. I'm not saying send log drums to reverb, but it's just for an example. Then you can send it to a reverb, but just make sure you can control how much of the signal you're sending to the reverb. Don't send too much of the signal to it. And then you can also create a send for a delay if you want to. Now there's a preset here in FL Studio that you can check out. That's like a template that you can open up. This one, the delay and reverb. If I open it like this, you can see that it already has 2 sends here. Like it has a delay and a reverb already there. I love using this template because already I have these 2 set up for me. I can just replace the reverb with maybe a neoverb, or replace the delay bank and use another delay that I like. So that's something that I do. The second thing is loudness. So a lot of producers, when they finish making their tracks, I see they try to pump up all their mixer volumes all the way high up like this, and then trying to achieve loudness, but in truth they might not have a system that is loud. Like this is where having a good set of headphones is good, like loud headphones and loud studio monitors, and a system that's loud, so that you don't compensate loudness inside your mix and inside your DAW, trying to listen to your music or the beat that you're creating and make it loud by bumping up and the volumes on your compressor and on your EQ. That's also a problem. That's how you end up with a really bad sounding track. You want to just raise it and control your volume inside the box. But what you want to do is you want to try and have a system that's loud, so that even if your master is low or your mix is low, you can still crank up your audio interface higher or your speakers louder, so that you can hear everything louder, but your meters are not like really clipping, and your track is not loud inside the box, but you can hear it loudly, but you're not like cranking all your faders up high and stuff like that. And the fourth thing that I want to talk about here is checking your frequencies. So there's a free plugin that you can download. I'm going to put a link down below in the description, and you can check that out. It's called Span. You can use Span to analyze your frequencies. Like, let me just load up this project that I had here, and then I'm just going to load up Span. So what you can do is you can check your frequencies and just try and see how your track is balanced in terms of frequencies. Now let me just play this back and you'll see what happens here. So you can see what's happening here. I can see my whole frequency, what's happening to the track and all that. So I can tell exactly what's going on in this track. I can even hold it so I can properly analyze. So I can see that there's a valley here, and I can see that I have a lot of like high end. I have some subs here. I have some mid bass going on there. So you need to analyze your track to make sure that everything is balanced out, so you can kind of figure out the pockets of frequencies that are missing, that you might need to to add, or that are too high that you might need to turn down. That way you can make a decision to do proper EQing without just doing guesswork on, okay, I just feel like maybe I must just take out some bass, or I must just add some treble, or take out some treble and stuff like that. So that's another mistake that I find that a lot of people do. And the last thing is referencing. I have a video on how you can create a reference track in FL Studio. You can watch that video. I'll put a card here so you can check it out and watch that video, how you can import a reference track into FL Studio. It can be any track that you like that sounds like the one that you're in the style of the one that you're like currently composing, so you can have kind of a direction of where to take your track as you're producing. So if you use a reference track, you can even check how it looks here on Span and try and balance your track to almost sound and look like your reference. So reference means you need to go back and forth between a certain track and reference and see how that one sounds, and let it be your target, and see how you can make yours sound the same as that one. So you don't have to make it exactly like that one, but is just to set a standard to where you can get to and figure out how you can balance everything nicely. So you need to have proper intention and a proper direction as you work, instead of to do guesswork. But otherwise, you have to also use your ears. Have fun with it. Use your ears. You know what good music sounds like. Try not to over process your stuff. Try not to achieve too much loudness in the box by cranking up all the volumes on all your channels and all your plugins. You're just going to be damaging your track and so forth. And the final thing I just want to say is that you need to also preserve dynamics in your track. You don't want to overly squash your track with compression, with too much compression and too much limiting, to where even at a break or in the middle of your track where there's like a break where the drums come out, there isn't that kind of a dip or there isn't that place where your track can relax and just breathe a little bit before it comes back in. You want to have a little bit of dynamics in your track so that everything can be loose, everything can be free, so that you hear all your instruments very clear. But if you feel that you have problems with mixing and mastering, you don't have to mix and master your own projects on your own. If you can afford it, if you have the budget, there's people like me. You can get someone to mix and master for you. I offer mixing and mastering services. You can always email me or DM me if you want to check on my rates, and if you need me to work on a project for you to properly get it to sound proper and properly sound good before you release it. If it's something that you want to release and have sound really good, if you have a budget for that, you can definitely do that. You don't have to mix and master your own projects. That's something that a lot of people think, that they have to do everything themselves. That's not how that works. I've been doing this for a really long time, so I have a process that I know that if I do this and that and this and this, I will end up with something that sounds good. So I hope you found this really helpful. I know it was all over the place, but I thought I would share this so that you can kind of have this information and know where you can go from here. If you found this really helpful, consider dropping this video a like, and also consider subscribing if you're new here. I will see you guys out in my next video, and don't forget to comment down below if you have anything you want to add, or if you just want to say hi and sign in. Notification gang, what's good? I'm gonna check you guys out in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm X, and I'm out. Peace.